mess. Drop it in the water, let the daughter find her image with the rest. She'll be learning how to breathe, spinning through identity, reveal another pretty little scheme. Save her mind, hold her hand, and don't believe a lie. You understand me. Walk her down the valley, pack a piece of heaven for the bottoms of her feet. Teach her how to jump and how to stretch when she reach, like the angels do, and you gon' make it through. Now tell about the healer, greater is the one within.
Thank you so much for being here with us. I just want to say you look so beautiful right now, and thank you for coming here to speak to us about your medical school journey. We know that someone out there is able to find inspiration from the words that you're about to tell us right now. And we know that it can also be very vulnerable for you to talk about these topics. And we just want to thank you and open up the floor to you.
Wow, thank you. Oh my goodness. So yeah, this is going to be very vulnerable. And I'm going to talk about things that I haven't shared with many people. I've shared it with my friends, but when God tells you to do something, you just got to do it. And I feel like it's something that's been brewing in my heart for like a couple of years. I just didn't feel like I was in the right place, like mentally, spiritually, to even be vulnerable about it. But I think I am now. So let's go. Hey everyone, my name is Keisha J and welcome to Vessels. This is my little corner on the internet where I talk about everything lifestyle, medicine, poetry, arts, from the point of view of being a child of God. So y'all see what the title is. This is my testimony of how I got into medical school. But before we get into the medical school part, we got to take it back. We got to take it back to college, all right? I went away to college. I won't tell y'all what college I went to, but I went away to college because I wanted to get far away from my family, y'all, all right? I grew up Haitian. So for my fellow Haitian people, you know, our Haitian parents, they are very strict. So I moved 8 hours away to college. And, you know, I thought it was going to be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, but it wasn't, okay? It wasn't. I graduated high school as valedictorian. So, you know, I was coming off of like this kind of like environment where I was just used to like, you know, studying and getting good grades. Guys, undergraduate studies is not like that. I remember my first bio exam. I saw two of my friends and they were like, so what do you think? I was like, that test was easy. That test was nothing. Y'all, I got my test back and it was, I don't remember the grade, but it was like, I didn't pass. I think it was in the 60s. I didn't pass. And I was kind of like, I didn't really understand what was going on. So I'm like, okay, I just need to study really hard. So y'all, okay, I studied really hard. I went in on the second exam. This is midterms. This is big. Took the second exam, y'all. I didn't pass. So I'm like, okay, let me just go to like the office hours, right? Like this in high school, I'm used to my teachers being like invested in me and everything. So I go to the office hours of my professor. And just to paint the picture, this is an older Caucasian professor. My first time having a professor that didn't look like me. And I remember he looked at my grades and he said, where did you go to school? And I said, oh, I went to school in Brooklyn. He's like, oh, that's why you're probably not doing well. You probably come from a place that doesn't have many resources. So that's probably why. Y'all. And the thing is, that's all he said. He didn't say you probably came from, you know, an under-resourced neighborhood, but let me help you and maybe let's do this. No, that is all he said. And I just had to like walk out of his office. And I remember that day, y'all, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I remember I walked out of his office and I was going to walk to my dorm room and cry. But I had work study, so I just went to work and I didn't cry. But if I didn't have work that day, I was going to go to my room, sit on my, you know, little dorm bed and cry myself to sleep. So, but I'm like, okay, let me not let myself, you know, get, you know, discouraged. I remember I had a study partner, me and her, like we went through college together. We were in bio together and we sat in one of our professor's classrooms and he goes, oh, you know, many of you are not going to make it to the end. most students don't really make it to the end. Only a couple of you will be in this classroom, and that's it. And that was just another pile on the situation. And this is me freshman year, y'all. First semester, first time out of my community. And this same friend, I remember she told me how, I don't remember if it was her, if it was a friend of hers, her advisor told her, maybe you should look into, carpentry. Carpentry! Guys, we're talking about undergraduate, university. We passed our SATs, we did well on Regents, and people like me, okay, are being advised to go into carpentry, y'all. Like, insane. So, y'all, I mean, that's just like a couple of things I could remember from freshman year. Like, if I sit down and talk about it, we never gonna get to the medical school part. But y'all, freshman year was nuts. It was wild. And I remember the last thing that I'll share with you guys. This was freshman year. This was when I met with my medical school advisor. So I'm telling her, I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. I want to help people. What classes should I take? And she's like, oh, okay, well, we could look into international medical schools. Side eye, bombastic side eye. Criminal offense, y'all. Like, when you really think about this, and this is why, I really love talking to students of color and, really, encouraging them, because I didn't even, finish my first semester of college, and I'm already being pre-wired to think that the best that I can do is going into an international school. Now, I have no shade towards international schools, because if you can't get into an American school, okay, you got to do what you got to do. But for that to be what I am, programmed to think that that's the best that I could do. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't. So I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm quitting. I'm not going to go to medical school. This is not for me. This is clearly not for me. So she was like, okay. And my mom, she never pushed me. She always told me, I don't want you to do this for me. Do it for yourself. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. She's like, okay, that's fine. So what are you going to do? I don't know, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it. She's like, okay, so what's your plan? So I remember telling her, I'm thinking psychology. And, I even walked, to the psychology department. I walked through the halls. And it was, such, a movie moment. I was walking through the halls, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And so I'm going to give y'all the real deal, y'all. I finished my first semester of college. This was my GPA, y'all. And if I'm being honest with y'all, I can't believe I'm sharing this. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, okay? I finished my first semester with a 2.7 GPA. Okay? And then my second semester, I worked hard, y'all. I'm not lying to y'all. I worked hard. My second semester, I got a 2.7 GPA. So I was like, yeah, this is not for me. And I was taking the wrong calculus class. I was in an engineering calculus class. My advisor, instead of telling me what calculus class to take, was telling me to go into carpentry. Come on. So y'all, I was like, okay, I finished my freshman year, and I prayed to God, and I said, God, I'm going to give this one shot. One shot. I'm going to try this next semester of sophomore year. If I don't do well, sophomore year, my first semester, all right, clipped, let's just dead this whole doctor dream, because it's just, I'm not going to get into medical school with such a low GPA. So y'all, second year, my sophomore year, I deaded everything. I stopped everything. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was fresh out of high school, strict family home. I was out here in these streets, okay? I was out here in these streets. I was going to parties. I went to the club for the first time. I was making so many friends. And it was just, I was living life, okay? I was living life. I was enjoying life. And my sophomore year, I said, okay, I'm going to stop all of this. So sophomore year, I stopped everything. Hey, Tikisha, you want to go to retreat? Can't go. You want to go to the movies? Can't go. There's a party happening. Can't go. If you can ask my friends, I was a bookworm. I stayed in the library, y'all. And I was like, I'm going to go hard, because I can't let people tell me what I can and cannot do. I have to give it a real shot. So y'all, I gave it a real shot. I changed up my study habits because I can't study the way I was studying in high school anymore. I'm in the big leagues. And I was in classes with people who had taken calculus in high school. Y'all, I didn't take calculus in high school. My highest level of math in high school was trig. So I was up against some craziness. And I had never taken chemistry also. It's wild. So my sophomore year, y'all, I did good. So my cell biology class, I had gotten like the highest grade out of my cell biology class. So I was like, okay, things are turning around. So I did all that. And for the next 3 years, another thing with GPAs, it's so easy for your GPA to plummet, but to get it up is ridiculous. It took me 3 years of getting crazy GPAs like 3.7, 3.8, 3.6 to finally get my overall GPA to a 3.5. So I was able to graduate with a 3.5 by the grace of God. So that's college, y'all, okay? That's college. I graduated with honors. I was proud of myself. So I'm like, okay, I just got one more thing to do. I got to take the MCAT. It's going to be real smooth. And then I'll get into medical school. Negative. The MCAT, y'all, that was a beast within itself. For those of you guys who don't know, the MCAT is a 7-hour exam, okay? And it's basically everything you learn throughout all of college. For me, I'm somebody who does well, like, periodically. Like, okay, after this semester, I'll do well on this exam. But to put everything together was a challenge for me. Okay, so fast forward, I'm preparing for the MCAT and I'm struggling, guys. Like, I'm having mental breakdowns. It's insane. Like, I'm having to study for a huge caliber exam that I'm not used to doing. So my mom, she comes to me and she's like, let's do set to Jericho. That's how you say it in Creole. But in English, it's like, let's do like this, the walk around Jericho like 7 times. To summarize, for those of you who don't know, in the Old Testament, when the people of Israel and Joshua, they were going to the promised land and the gates were shutting down, Joshua received a word from God to walk around Jericho 7 times. And so so once every day, and on the 7th day, do it 7 times. So that's what my mom was referring to. She was like, let's go downtown and walk around your testing site 7 times for 7 days. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. I'm like, girl, let's just do a good old fast. Like, I could do that, a little 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. I could do that. She was like, no, this is what I feel like that God is placing on my heart. So I'm like, Mom, we're going to go to downtown and every day we're going to walk around this building like that. So I'm like, I don't know if, I told her, like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's going to be weird. But, after thinking about it, I'm like, okay, fine. I'll be doing with her, so it can't be that bad. And she basically told me, like, sometimes you got to give God praise before the miracle you're asking him for happens. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this, Mom. So we go, day 1, we walk around the building and we, like, pray in our hearts. I'm like, this is easy. I could do this. We go on day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Now, guys, she said, all right, we're going to stop on day 6. You're going to take your exam, and then we're going to come back and do this 7 times walk, right? Okay, fine. I take the MCAT, y'all. I take the MCAT, y'all. That exam was nuts. And it's not even about the difficulty level. It's about the mental. To really sit for 7 hours and you're getting like difficult chemistry, biology, physics questions. Like, y'all, like the reading part, I was good with that. But everything else, it was hard. And I also suffer from migraines. So I got a migraine like on hour 2. And I popped Tylenols. Nothing was happening. So I went through that entire exam with a really bad migraine. Like a 9 out of 10 migraine. But I came out of it. I barely ate my little peanut butter and jelly sandwich because, your anxiety level is high. And I remember I walked out. When I walked out of the Prometric site, my mom was like, how do you think you did? And I remember exactly what I said. I said, I don't know how I did, but I know I'm never taking that exam again. And I meant that. I was like, I don't care what I got. I don't care if I passed or if I failed. Like, I'm just not doing that again. Like, that's just not something I do not recommend. Do not recommend. 0 out of 10. I do not recommend. So I got my score back, y'all. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't my goal score. And that was the dip in my application. I had all the extracurricular activities. I had a good GPA, but my MCAT score was just not up to par of what I wanted to feel comfortable to apply to medical school. But I'm a woman of faith, and I might be delusional, or I just might be just having a lot of faith. And I choose to think that I have a lot of faith. So I said, all right, God, you're going to have to make it happen with this MCAT score. Like, you're going to have to make something move, okay? Because you've done it before, and I know you can do it again, all right? At that point, my faith is up, y'all. My faith is up. So now I apply to medical schools, and my mom, sorry, rewind. So guys, I haven't done the 7th day with my mom yet. We got caught up with things, and I started applying to schools. I was also working at the time, and I started applying to a bunch of schools, y'all. And I started getting rejection after rejection after rejection, y'all. And I remember, as I was sending out my application, my mom looked at a certain school, and she said, you should apply to that school. I was like, Mom, I'm not going to apply to that school. Like, they're not going to, I'm not going to apply to that school, Mom. I'm going to apply to the schools in Timbuktu, in Utah, and Wisconsin, because I feel like I have a better chance. I don't apply to the school in the city because I just feel like their stats that they look at is just so much high. She was like, I don't want you to go, like, I don't want you to be far away from me. So, you know, me and my mom, we're like besties. And I'm like, girl, I'm going to have to. And I'm like, this school is just, like, they're not going to take me, Mom. Like, she's like, but your GPA? I'm like, yeah, but my MCAT. So she was like, please, just do it for me. And I was like, fine, this will be like the last school that I apply to. So I did that just out of like, to like, you know, like make her like not keep bugging me. So then I get rejection after rejection, right? At the schools that I thought would consider me. Rejection after rejection after rejection. Once I realized that I was getting all these rejections, I was like, okay, I need to start broadening my horizon. So I started applying to DO schools, and I started applying to international schools, okay? So I got an acceptance, like, right away to an international medical school. And I got an acceptance to an international medical school. And, you know, obviously I was happy. Like, I did the interview and everything, and I was happy that I got an acceptance. But, you know, it's not what I wanted. But for me, it didn't matter. I wanted to be a doctor, and I know what I can contribute to this field. So I was like, okay, like, we're going to have to be in another country. It's just what we're going to have to do. So my mom was like, okay, sorry. Yeah, so this is what we're going to have to do. But then, guys, I get an email from that very same school that my mom told me to apply to. I get an email from them. They're offering me an interview. Y'all, this is a U.S. medical school that is literally 15 minutes away from where I live. Insane. So I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm like, yes, yes. And I was like, Mom, we got to go do the 7th day. We got to go walk around that building 7 times because God is doing it. I got an interview. So the morning of my interview, I got a new outfit, y'all. I had got a new like suit. I was ready. And the morning of my interview, I prayed and I said, God, I pray that my interviewer sees me as if I was their own child and that they want to advocate for me as if I was their own child. That's what I prayed. And I go to my interview, and y'all, guess what? My interviewer is a Haitian woman. I said, God is doing it. God is doing it for me. Like, it's in the bag. It's in the bag. So I had my interview, and it was literally one of the best interviews I've ever had in my life. I connected with her. She understood where I came from. She loved my CV. It was great. And she told me that she's like, I like you, and I'm going to fight for your application. Like, she told me that day of the interview. So I felt like it's great. Next thing you know, y'all, I get waitlisted. And then a month later, I get rejected. And then my mom is going to have the nerve to tell me that she's going to go and do the 7th day to thank God. Thank God for what? I was so mad, y'all. And I'm kind of like, just gotta be honest with y'all. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I was angry with God. I was super angry with God. Like, why would you like play with me like that? Like, you play with my face. You really like, that's how I felt. I gotta be honest. I felt like God played with my emotions. Like, why would you get me like all hyped up just to drop me back down to the ground again? So my mom was like, well, I'm still gonna go and praise God because I know what I asked God for, and I trust that He's doing what He thinks is best. And I'm like, good for you, girl. You go on ahead. You go on ahead. So she went on her own. I didn't go. And I was just preparing to go to another country. My mom bought her tickets for my white coat ceremony over there. My dad bought his tickets. I had already met my roommate like through via like email. Like, everything was set in stone. So I just didn't feel like there was a point in doing the 7th day when I didn't get what I wanted. But y'all, hey, God is funny, y'all. God is funny. I remember there was a day I felt a voice in my head say, just go and do it. Go do it. And y'all, now later on, looking back at the story, I can discern that voice was the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit guides us to make good decisions. And I just felt strongly that day, go and do the 7th day. So y'all, after work, I was working at a car dealership at the time. After work, I hopped on the train, went downtown, and I started walking around the building 7 times. Now, this was hard, y'all. By the 3rd time I was walking around this building, there was this like UPS guy who was like unloading packages, and he just looked at me like, didn't you like walk around here like 2 other times? And then like there was another stand of like, those people that have like those tables and they're like giving out pamphlets. They were looking at me like I was nuts, and I had no explanation. Like, I didn't have like a jogger outfit, like, ooh, like I'm just on a jog or something. Like, I'm just walking around praying in my heart and singing in my heart, or like I was even singing out loud sometimes. And I remember thinking like, okay, God, I walked around it like 3 times now. Maybe the rest of the times I can just walk across the street. And I heard, no, you're gonna do it. You're not gonna fake do it. You're gonna do it. Timoon. I did it, y'all. I did it. I walked around 7 times like a mad woman. Like a mad woman. After I did it, I was just like, okay. So yeah, I walked around that Prometric site, y'all, 7 times, like around the block, okay? And it was a summer afternoon. It was busy, and I looked crazy, y'all, but you gotta have crazy faith, all right? You gotta have crazy faith, and that's what I was doing. I was having crazy faith. I felt crazy, and I was just hoping that, I don't know, I don't think I was really hoping for anything, because to me, everything was already final. I already got rejected from the school that I really wanted to get into. So it was just like, all right, we're just doing this for completion purposes. And then I think I don't actually remember the timeline completely, but I know it was like a few days later or like a week-ish later. I was at work, okay, at the car dealership, and I got a phone call. And I don't pick up like unknown numbers, scam likelies, or anything like that. I didn't know the number, but I just decided to pick it up. I went into the break room. And I answered the phone, and I recognized this voice. This is the same voice of the woman who interviewed me. I was scared, y'all. Like, I was scared. My heart was beating fast. I'm just like, what's going on? What could this be? Like, why? First of all, why are you calling me? You rejected me. That's number 1. And number 2, like, what's going on? Like, I didn't know. So like, my heart is beating fast, and she's like, hi Takesha, I'm calling you because I have a proposition for you. I'm like, proposition? What proposition? Like, my bags are packed and ready to go. I leave for Grenada in like 2 weeks. What proposition? So she said, we created this program. It's a post-bac / master's type program. And we've talked about this program for years, but we never could get it off the ground. This is the first year that we're actually doing it. And we have chosen 7 students off of the wait list. 6 guys and 1 girl, and you're the girl. What? And she's like, I do want to give you some time to think about it. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I want to do it. Like, let's talk to me. What's going on? So she's like, if you complete this 1-year program, you will have automatic acceptance into the medical school. And also during this year, you will have free room and board. And we're going to give you a stipend every month for your expenses. Guys, I was trembling. Like, that feeling where you're in between, like, crying and screaming? That was me. I was trembling. And I remember being on that phone call, like, confused, excited, confused. Like, what does this mean? And I remember, like, she asked me, what do I think? And I told her, like, I was asking her a bunch of questions, like, what are the stipulations of the program, blah, 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 blah. And to me, it sounded better than heading to a different country for the next couple of years. So I answered right away on the phone. I said yes. Right away. I didn't talk to anyone. I said yes right away. And guys, it was insane. I went home, spoke to my mom about it, and she was like, don't you see how, like, your faith was activated? Like, even if there is a complete no, like, God has the final say. And I don't know if you guys peeped this. What she said is, we took 7 students off the wait list. I wasn't on the wait list anymore. Your girl was fully rejected, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, this is a part of the testimony that I don't, when I tell people this, I sometimes skip over it, because it's like, who wants to say they've been rejected? Who wants to say that? But, that's the beauty of the testimony, is that you can get the hardest no. Like, the institution flat out rejected me, and they were going to take 7 students. And guys, the wait list, there were like thousands of students. There were many students on this wait list, and thousands of students that were rejected. And out of all those students, they chose 1 woman, and that person was me. And I just was grateful. And I remember coming home and be like, yes, Mom, we have faith. But it's just like, no, Takesha, you had lost faith. But that's the good thing about God. Like, he shows up. He shows up for us even when we think he's not going to, even when we're disappointed, even when we've lost all hope. And that's the reason why I wanted to share this testimony with you guys, because I don't know what you're going through. Maybe your burden is not medical school entrance. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a sickness. Maybe it's a family member that you've lost. Maybe it's a door that you've been waiting to be open and it's just not. Maybe it's a promise that God gave you, and you're looking at God like, where's this promise? Maybe it's a vision he gave you and it's not visioning. Okay, maybe the vision is not visioning. Maybe it just it's not working out. That's the reason why I wanted to give this testimony, y'all. I want to encourage you, because I don't know what you're going through. Maybe your burden is not medical school entrance. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's a family member that you've lost. Maybe it's a door that you've been waiting to be open that just won't open. Whatever it is, maybe it's a vision that God gave you. Maybe the vision is not visioning. Maybe it's a promise that you've been waiting on, and the promise is not coming to fruition. I just want to encourage you, don't give up on God, because he hasn't given up on you, and he hasn't forgotten about you, and he cares about your situation so deeply, so closely, and he's working, and it's gonna work in the right time. And if you ask me now, would I rather had done my pathway into medical school any differently, I would tell you absolutely no. And I didn't think I'd be that person, because who wants to be, God, you want to do an extra year, a post-bac master's program, you just want to get things done. But y'all, it was the way it was supposed to happen. During that year, God used me in ministry. During that year, I was able to travel. During that year, I met some amazing friends who are in this room with me right now. Like, if I had gone, to Grenada, I would not, like, my life would be, I can't even imagine how different my life would be right now. Like, I would be somebody different. I wouldn't be who I am today. So I wouldn't have it any other way. But I just want to fast forward you guys to, I want to say 6 years later. from the walk that I did with my mom. I was studying with my friend. She's a law student. She be going through it, y'all. But I was studying with her, and and I was telling, because I hadn't fully told her this story. I'm not vulnerable, y'all. But I hadn't fully told her the story, and I was sitting there while we were studying. I was telling her the complete full story, and she was like, "Wait, you walked around that building 7 times, and they accepted 7 students? You think that's a coinky-dink?" No, that's not a coinky-dink. That's God. And it's like, sometimes you don't even have like the eyes to see how God is working in your life. Even after the testimony, y'all, years after this testimony, I wasn't able to see how God was working. Like, I'm not somebody that's like big on like numbers or with meanings and everything, but I do know that I've heard preachers say a lot, like, 7 is a number of completion, and that you should pay attention to like things that are patterns and that repeat in your life or whatever, because God talks to us in many different ways. And ever since she said that, I just started thinking, and it's like, yeah, like 7 times around the building, 7 students were accepted. I'm talking to you today, and I'm gonna graduate medical school in a couple months, and this walk that I did was 7 years ago. And I recently took my last board exams in medical school, and the guy was like, "Oh, let's sit her in seat number 7." Like, I remember, like, God, y'all, I was freaking out for this exam. That's another video for another day. But I was freaking out, and I was throwing up, and I heard them say, "We're gonna see her in number 7." I'm like, we good. I'm a pass. Number 7, I'm a pass. So I want to share a verse with you guys. Psalm 40, verse 1, 2, 3. And it says, "I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in him." Y'all, wait patiently on God. Wait patiently on God, and he's going to come through. And whatever it is that you're going through, God is going to give you a new song to sing. Before, I was singing songs of defeat, of disappointment, of anger. But today, I'm singing a new song of praise to God. So that's the testimony, y'all. That's the testimony of how I got into medical school. I know if you're someone that's not a person of faith, you might think that I sound crazy, and I do. But I'm proud of that craziness because it's crazy faith that I have in God. God, the Bible says he chooses the foolish things to confound the wise. And y'all, I'm confounded, okay? I'm really confounded at how he did it for me. And I want to encourage, if you're a student of color, don't give up. If you're a student of color, don't give up, all right? You can do this. You're that girl and you're that guy. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do, okay? The only person that can tell you that is yourself and, God and his direction and everything. But I want to encourage you. You're not a carpenter, okay? Look at me. You're not a carpenter, okay? And if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a businessman, a CEO, an influencer, whatever you want to be, and maybe you want to be a carpenter, who cares? But that has to be your choice. Do not let the society, the system tell you otherwise. I believe in you, and I'm telling you, if I could do it, I know you can. If I could do it, I know you can. So y'all, this is it. This is real, and there's much more to say. Like, my testimony doesn't end here, y'all. It gets even crazier in medical school, and I have other things that I want to share, and pertains to faith and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys. Whoever's watching my video, I'm going to pray for you. And I'm serious. I'm going to pray for you, and I pray that God may touch your life and that you are touched by this. So this is my first sign out video. What? Yeah. I was going to say that. This is my first sign out, y'all. So sorry if it's a little long, but I just want to say like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and come back for more. Bye. I did it. Oh my gosh. Wow. That was hard. That was hard. That was vulnerable. What do you guys think?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
10 out of 10. Like,
10 out of 10.
It was like you've been doing it. That was pretty good. I feel like, you know, it wasn't too much, wasn't too little. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? I can't believe that I didn't miss anything.
Nope. You missed nothing. I was like, God. I mean, it's your story, though.
Right.
Yeah. You're right. I think for me, I did get a little nervous around the part with like talking about like the walk, because I'm thinking about all the people that are gonna listen to this. I don't know all the people, but people that are gonna listen to this
All the people.
might think that I'm crazy, but then I'm like, yeah, girl, you are crazy in God. So.
Take her home.